got handcuffs.
Gervonta "Tank" Davis, boxing's knockout king, is now facing the toughest battle of his life, only this time it's outside the ring. Recently released from a Dubai prison after a federal raid, Tank has finally broken his silence, sharing shocking revelations that point to none other than Floyd Mayweather, his former mentor, as a central figure in the turmoil. Calvin Ford, Tank's trusted longtime coach, is also under scrutiny as this story of loyalty, betrayal, and revenge unfolds in unexpected ways. The story began with Tank's sudden imprisonment. After serving a sentence in Baltimore City Jail, he found himself at the center of a major controversy when federal agents raided his Dubai mansion, uncovering unregistered firearms and stacks of unaccounted money. This operation wasn't a random bust. Tank now claims it was a setup masterminded by Mayweather, the very man who once helped launch his career. In his early days, Tank looked up to Floyd as a mentor and guide, with Mayweather once telling the young boxer he'd be a world champion someday. However, Tank's recent revelations hint that their relationship had soured over time, with Floyd allegedly conspiring against him to keep him in check or worse. Tank insists the firearms weren't just for show, they were for protection, and not just from the dangers of fame. According to Tank, Floyd himself posed a threat. He claims that Floyd would send people to follow him, sometimes even spying on him during early morning runs. This constant surveillance left Tank feeling uneasy, always looking over his shoulder, wondering if the man he once trusted was working against him. As the story unfolded, money became a key element. The authorities discovered significant sums of cash during the raid, and it initially seemed linked to Tank. But in his interview, Tank clarified that the money wasn't his. He alleges that Floyd, who was reportedly facing financial troubles in Dubai, had hidden the cash at Tank's home. But there's more. Calvin Ford, Tank's own coach, had allegedly helped Floyd stash this money without Tank's knowledge. Ford, who had been more than a coach to Tank, a father figure and lifelong supporter, was now implicated in a betrayal that blindsided Tank. Feeling betrayed, Tank cut ties with Ford, a decision that shocked the boxing community. Tank didn't hold back on his disappointment with Ford, explaining that he had trusted him like family, only to realize that loyalty doesn't mean the same thing to everyone. It was a painful revelation for Tank, who had been fighting his way up from Baltimore's streets with Ford by his side. Now his mentor had turned his back on him for personal gain, leaving Tank to pick up the pieces of a fractured team. With emotions running high, Floyd took to social media, portraying himself as the supportive mentor misunderstood by the fighter he once helped. He claimed to have been Tank's biggest supporter, trying to take the high road by emphasizing his role in Tank's success. However, Tank wasn't buying it. In his interview, he suggested that Floyd had been plotting against him for some time, manipulating situations to control him. Tank explained that Floyd, a master strategist, knew how to press his buttons and might have been orchestrating events to keep him in his place or ruin him altogether. Meanwhile, Floyd's alleged schemes weren't limited to finances. Tank revealed that Floyd had been sharing his training secrets with other fighters, including Frank Martin, one of Tank's previous opponents. To Tank, it was a betrayal that went beyond business. The man who had once taught him everything about the sport was now undermining him, feeding his opponents with insider information to gain an edge. For a fighter known for his skill and strategy, the idea of his training being used against him by his own mentor was a low blow. In a twist that no one saw coming, Calvin Ford's involvement was spotlighted. Tank publicly placed blame on Ford, explaining that he had trusted Ford deeply, only to be met with betrayal. Tank shared that Ford had been collaborating with Floyd for months, helping him keep the unaccounted cash at Tank's mansion, all while pretending to support Tank in his career. Social media painted a picture of Ford as a staunch anti-Floyd advocate, but Tank revealed that behind the scenes, Ford was part of the scheme, showing his true colors when it counted most. Tank's upcoming fight with Lamont Roach only added to the tension. Originally scheduled for earlier in the year, it was now postponed until January, and Tank would have to face it without Ford in his corner. Lamont Roach was ready and had been training intensely, while Tank, still reeling from the personal turmoil, was heading into the fight under a new coach, Derek James. James, interestingly, had once trained Frank Martin, Tank's former opponent. Despite this connection, James accepted the challenge of guiding Tank through his next fight, bringing a fresh perspective and a deeper understanding of Tank's strengths and weaknesses. As the story circulated, rumors began to swirl about what this meant for Tank's career. Sponsors were pulling out, fans were divided, and his once unbreakable reputation was starting to take a hit. Tank acknowledged the challenge of fighting without the familiar support of Ford, yet remained confident in his abilities. He admitted that this betrayal would leave a lasting impact, but he was determined to prove himself both inside and outside the ring. But the story didn't stop there. Floyd, ever the strategist, was reportedly seen training with Shocker Stevenson, one of Tank's biggest rivals. This alliance sent shockwaves through the boxing world, with fans speculating that Floyd might be grooming Shocker as his new protege, filling the void left by Tank. Tank, naturally, was unimpressed. He interpreted Floyd's actions as a calculated move to replace him and make a statement. Floyd's support of Shocker seemed to be the final straw in a saga filled with drama, deception, and power plays. The question now on everyone's mind is, what's next for Gervonta "Tank" Davis? The scandal has taken a heavy toll on his career, and with the fight against Lamont Roach postponed until January, Tank has a chance to regroup. In a final twist, Floyd has hinted at forming a lasting partnership with Shocker, positioning himself as a mentor to the rising star. Floyd's actions raise questions about his true intentions, leaving fans wondering if he's really helping Shocker or simply using him to send a message to Tank. Tank, meanwhile, has made it clear that he's ready to move forward, despite the betrayal and loss of trust. His partnership with Derek James signals a new direction, one where he can rebuild without the shadows of Floyd or Ford over his shoulder. Yet, as he prepares for his January fight, Tank knows that the real battle is just beginning. In a sport where loyalty and rivalry often blur, he now faces the challenge of proving himself once again, not just as a fighter, but as a man standing up against those who tried to bring him down. As this saga continues to unfold, the boxing world watches with bated breath, eager to see how Tank responds to these revelations. Will he rise above the betrayal, proving that he's more than just another fighter caught up in a messy web of scandal? Or will this chapter mark the beginning of the end for one of boxing's brightest stars? Only time will tell, but one thing is clear. Gervonta "Tank" Davis is far from finished. He's stepping back into the ring, not just to fight his opponents, but to reclaim his legacy in a world where loyalty can be as elusive as a knockout punch. So that's all for today's video. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an update on this unfolding story. Share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned as we bring you the latest from the world of boxing. We'll catch you in the next video.